Welcome to the Nobody Knowz podcast with Callie Zamzo. Join us for conversations with local changemakers and hear the stories that don't always get told. It'll be honest, messy and beautiful, touching and humorous. Slow down, pour a glass, and pull up a chair. This is the Nobody Knowz podcast.
Welcome to Nobody Knowz. I'm your host, Callie Zamzo. And I want to thank our sponsor, Zamzo's, for sponsoring us. And I asked them what they would like for me to share for the tip of the week. And there is a sale coming up. So I wanted to make sure you're all aware that there's going to be a houseplant and assorted accessories sale. So accessories going along with said houseplants, all on sale. 20% off of houseplants. We have all of our stores have a very big variety of houseplants. And then also 20% off select accessories. And I happen to know that our famous houseplant magic, which is a product that is used for houseplants, is also going to be on sale. And I don't think it's ever on sale. So this is a big deal. It's going to take place, and this is the year of 2026. In case you're listening in the future, the sale is January 15th through the 19th at all 12 Zamzo's locations. So please check that out and get yourself a houseplant. It's a good time of year to have them in your house because they clean the air. They keep us from getting depressed. Okay, now I get to talk about our guest, which I'm very excited about. So I got to tell you a little story. I think I've mentioned in prior podcasts that I was accepted into this wonderful fellowship of women. And it started this last spring and has been running now almost a year. And the very first time that I went and I met with these women, I looked around the room and these are extraordinary human beings, all very accomplished people. And the gathering, they kind of give us tips as far as like what to expect. And one of the things they said is, just wear athleisure, be comfortable. This is supposed to be a comfortable weekend. So I did. I wore sweats and a t-shirt. And when I got in this group of women, I looked around and realized that even their athleisure was styled in a way that was vastly different than mine looked. And at the end of the weekend, while I really loved being around the women and I learned so much and I continue to absolutely love being around them, I felt smaller than they were because I felt like I didn't have style. And when I got home that week, after that weekend, I went to my husband and I literally had tears in my eyes and I said, I'm just not stylish, honey. I don't have it in me. I'm not good at this. And it was close to my birthday and he set out to find somebody to help me. And today's guest is the person that he found to help me. And she has literally changed my life. So welcome into the studio, Laura Tully, my friend, but also a stylist extraordinaire and just an incredible human being. Welcome to the studio and thank you for being here.
Thank you for having me. I'm so excited to be here.
You have a wonderful story and you really did change things for me. In fact, you're the first person to kind of give everybody a little idea of how it worked, at least for me. Mm-hmm. You actually came into my closet and we had a session together and there were items that I had held on to for many moons. And you had me put them on. Here, try this on. Let's see. I kind of like the color of this. Try this on. And when you found things that weren't working, you very kindly said, thank you for your service. Yeah. And then we put them into a box.
Yes.
And just in the things that there were things in my closet that I had that I hadn't been wearing that you said, boy, this has promise. And look at how cute this is. And look at this little detail. And then there were other ones you said, you know what, you took measurements. And so you were able to say, hey, this is a little too long for your torso and things like that. It was such a unique experience. I'd never been through anything like it. And it helped me, it helped me realize that style it's not maybe something that you're just born with. It's something that you learn, that you understand. Yeah. But first and foremost, you have to understand your own body.
Yes.
And that was probably the biggest turning point for me, was that part of it. And there were a pair of pants that we tried on and you said, these are darling. And I said, and I was kind of pushing at my stomach and you said, you had just met my daughter. So I was like, you said you had a daughter, you birthed a child. This is your body. And I was like, oh yeah, that's right. You're like, yeah, Like, you're a badass. Don't be, So
Yeah.
it was such an extraordinary experience. So okay, now I'm just babbling. I want to hear from you, but I'm so happy to have you here. And so can you just start off by just giving our listeners just a little bit of information about who you are and kind of how you got to where you are?
Oh, gosh. Well, first, it was such a delight to work with you and just seeing you like light up in a way that honors the awesome, amazing human you are. Oh, it was like pure joy. It was pure joy. So, so my name is Laura Tully. I'm a personal wardrobe stylist, and I feel like sometimes that can be like, what exactly does that really mean? It's interesting because I think that in my years of creating my business and building this work that I do, it started with clothing. It started with my love of fashion and style. But it definitely has evolved into something so much more than that. A lot of my work is focused on the components of bringing clarity to our style. But what does that mean? And so I work with clients to unpack, like, not just what it means to have an awesome outfit, but what it also means to show up as the best version of ourselves. And I feel like clothing becomes this really tangible tool to kind of like move us through all those different parts of how we show up.
Yeah, that's well said. I think that's one of the biggest things that's changed for me is I no longer go out into the world in clothes that are meh. Mm-hmm. Now, I have plenty of casual clothes that are not fancy and that are, but they always feel good on.
Yes.
And I've let go of that part of myself that will wear the sweats because my grandma gave them to me and they're a little too long and they're the wrong color and they make me feel fat, but I'm going to wear them anyway because I got to wear them. And that's gone.
Oh,
You're
making mama so proud.
I've thanked those pants and for their service, and I've let them go.
Yes. Yeah.
So yes, you're right. It's very much deeper than what people probably think when they think of a stylist, I think.
Yeah. Yeah.
So can you kind of just walk us through the time in your life when you realized that you had, because you do have a gift, that you realized you had this gift and that it kind of sparked that creative energy to do something?
I don't know if there was like a moment per se, but, so to start from the beginning. So I think fashion has always been a part of my DNA in a way, and style. I grew up in Jamaica. My mother worked many jobs, and one of them was a seamstress. So she sewed our clothing and our uniforms for school. And my dad was a shoemaker. His nickname was Shoey, appropriately so.
That's awesome.
We grew up with very little means. And I think that one of the fundamentals of like what my parents taught me was that clothing was a way of really honoring who you are. And I think that that the way that we clothe our bodies and the way that we dressed up to go to church, or the way that we wore our uniform to go to school, or out and about with our friends, I think my parents always took a lot of pride in making sure that we looked and felt great in what we wore. Mm-hmm. And I mean, I don't think at the moment I realized that, but I think later on, as I got older, I kind of had like a bit of a tethering to that experience of growing up. That style can be this reflection of who you're choosing to be. And it could be just as important as the words that are coming out of your mouth. And over the years of kind of really meandering, doing lots of different things, I started working at J. Crew in management, and it kind of reignited my passion for style and clothing. And I switched into personal styling when I was there, and I was like, this feels like intuitively right for me. you know. And as it kind of developed, I started doing some things here and there on the side with working with clients, but I really didn't know what it was. I just knew that there was something there. And then once I left J. Crew, my husband really encouraged me to like go off on my own and do my own thing, which was really scary.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, that's my next question.
Yeah.
So it's one thing to be backed by a company, and that's another thing to set out and do it yourself.
Yeah.
What was that like?
It was so scary. Like, even right now as I speak about it, like my armpits are a little sweaty. But but it was one of those experiences that I think of it this way, like life will present these moments to you. I think of it as like stepping off the cliff, you know, of taking chances and taking risks. And I decided that it was something that I really wanted to do. And I was going to take that leap. And I was just going to see how many parachutes I have. And you have more than you think, you know. And I just decided to go for it, and really hustled in the beginning of trying to figure out, well, what kind of stylist am I? How do I work with clients? How do I bring value to what they want? How do I, you know, because at the end of the day, it's like, I just want to look good in what I wear.
Yeah.
I want this process to feel less difficult. So I think I had all the components of what I wanted that to be, but it took listening, learning, experiences, trial and error to really figure out what that format was for me and how I would take care of my clients.
I have spoken to a few people who've worked with you now. And we all have a totally different story. Yeah. And I'm amazed at, I'm like, it's the same Laura Tully. You're able to work with people who need to have a business suit that looks just so because they're going to an international conference and they have to look. And then also somebody like me who works in the family business and just doesn't want to feel fat. And I know obviously I haven't been there for your other engagements, but if you engage everybody the way that you engaged me, it's such a wholehearted process. And it's so unique. It's not what I thought it was going to be at all. And when people ask me about it, I try to describe it that I'm like, what you have to do is just trust me and hire her. You just have to trust me. And to the person, they've all like, oh my heavens, it's the greatest thing ever. And all of our experiences are different. So how do you take on a brand new client? Like do you have a system in your own head, or is there like a system in your heart? Like what is it when you walk into somebody's house for the first time and you walk into their closet and the whole process? Like how do you, what is that like?
Yeah. I think one of the fundamental parts of it has always come back to like you and your story and what is it that you want for yourself. And I think a lot of times I work with mostly women. We don't have that space to really unpack what that means. I feel like when I walk into a client's closet, it's about listening to what they want for themselves. And as we touch these pieces of clothing and as we thank some for their service and maneuver through the process, right? That tells me a lot about where they've been and also where they are. And then what they eventually want for themselves. So like the becoming part is also an important part of the process. And I think clothing just becomes this like very tangible way of seeing through those nuances that we sometimes miss about why you're feeling frustrated about getting dressed in the morning, why when you're going for a trip, the anxiety builds and then you panic shop.
No one does that.
I think that's an official term, like panic shop.
Definitely.
And so through that process of listening and going through the clothing and also having the clients try things on, we get this whole view that isn't just about, I just want jeans that fit me. It's more about, I want clothing that serves me. So what does that look like? And I have a very specific way of how I get to it. And it's different for every client because we're all walking our own path, right?
Yeah.
And have our own experiences and our own stories. I think one of the things that has always connected for me and why I love the work that I do is through learning and listening to the stories of women, is also seeing them like come home to themselves in a way. Sometimes starts with like how they see their bodies.
Mm-hmm.
How you see your body is such a, it can be such a tender space for a lot of women. And I think that when we kind of go through the process of seeing like real information instead of a story that we told ourselves about what we think our bodies represent, it starts to kind of dismantle the narrative about, well, I only deserve this if I fit in this size, or I'll feel pulled together once I get to this or have that. And it is so meaningful and powerful when that shift starts to happen, because it is a game changer. Because what I know for sure is that I can put a client in the most amazing outfit, but if she doesn't believe that she is worthy of like owning it and rocking it, like it really doesn't matter.
I love that you said that, because part of what I struggled with was the cost of clothing, and I still struggle. I thank God that my husband is the one who said, we're doing this, and you're going to afford this for yourself. You're going to do this, Callie, and I'm behind you. I'm not going to sit here and say, another Madewell sweater, although he will tease me about that on occasion. But he's never, it really, that helped me in the process, knowing that I would allow myself to own clothing that I didn't think, and it was all about whether I thought my body was worthy of it or not. Like somebody else could wear a sweater that's that nice, but I'm frumpy, so I can't. I'm not the perfect weight, so I can't wear that. I don't deserve to almost. And that was one of the things. And it didn't happen overnight. You certainly, you tipped a domino. And then there were a few times that I was like, well, okay, tell me again about why it's okay that people can see that I'm not wearing a huge sweater over my belly because my belly sticks. And tell me again why that's okay. And it took a few times, and then me just repeating some of the things that you had told me to myself and reminding myself. And then it slowly dismantles. And I feel, and it's been about 6 months ago. I think we got to, so it's been about 6 months. And I think I'm just now to the point where I can go shopping and buy things, which is good because we bought summer clothes. And so I had to, I had to then turn that into winter clothes, and I was like, oh no, I'm going to screw this whole thing up, and Laura's going to see me, and she's going to wonder what in the heck I was thinking. Anyway, my point in all of that is that, yes, there's a lot more to that allowing ourselves. Yeah. And you are really good at that. You're really good at helping somebody realize that they're worth it.
Thank you.
Yeah, it's part of your process. It's lovely. Yeah.
Thank you for saying that.
Yeah. So did that just develop over time, or has that always been a part of the way that you do things?
I think that it developed over time. I think that that through my own experience with style, I felt like consumption was such a big part of how I navigated feeling worthy. You know, was acquiring. If I have this, if I have that, then then I must be valuable, right?
Oh my gosh.
And I think that kind of navigated me towards, as I started building clients and working and listening to the stories and experiences of my clients, it also gave me something that I needed for myself, which was, what am I building here? And it was so much more than to give stuff or to have stuff and to own things. It was about kind of what I said before, returning home to ourselves in a way that was less about perfection and more about, this is how I see myself. Through that process, I'm going to honor that in a way that is really truthful, and that these clothing are going to be like reflective of that truth. And I know for me, the way that I've started building my wardrobe and building my sense of style was learning how much less I wanted to consume, and that navigating like the process of like, I just want to be comfortable and feel great in what I wear.
Yeah.
And I was like, that's most of my clients, I developed a process that would then lead to having these pieces that allow that ease to occur with feeling really pulled together, but also learning the real information of like why something works really, really well on your body. And so the story usually goes like, you walk into a store, you're trying on an item of clothing, and the narrative can read like, oh, this doesn't work on me because, like, I wish my hips weren't so wide, or or my butt's too big, right? Or, like, oh, if this like roll wasn't here, right? And you think about those sentences and what they mean when they are like in this like really full state. They're dismantling so many different parts of who you actually are. Yeah. And so when we're working with real information, which is, instead of saying these things about what these jeans or pants mean to your body, it's shifting the narrative to, okay, if I know the data about my body, right? I know my rise, I know my hip measurement, I know my inseam, I know my waist. Then I can go, I put this pair of pants on and I go, these feel a little snug on my hip. If I go up a size, then they're going to lay better. And then I can get the waist taken in, because then it will like really hug my waist a lot better. I'm not like pulling up my pants all day. And so that narrative then becomes not about taking apart your body, but like bringing the real truth about the situation, which is, this is how these pants are going to serve me.
Yeah.
As opposed to, I am not good enough to have these pants on because something is like wrong about my body.
Yeah.
And that is like a whole different ball game when it comes to how we view our bodies, and then what these clothing are then saying about who we are. Because I'm a stylist. I mean, my work is to put, as my son puts it, like, she puts the clothes on the people, Ultimately, nothing should hold that kind of power over you where it like dismantles who you are. And I think clothing has been, and style has kind of developed in our culture to be this like pressure point. If I'm thin enough, if I have enough money, if I'm part of a certain demographic, if I look a certain way, there's these endless check boxes that puts these pressure points on, making us think like, this is what style needs to be. And your clothes should not make you feel like shit.
Yeah. Amen. Yeah.
You know, it just shouldn't. And those pressure points are created because, part of that is just marketing too. You know, if you feel like you're missing out or you don't have, or you're not able to check this box, then the chase happens, right? You know, and the chase is what spills, you know, it's part of commerce. And so I feel like realizing that your clothing can be a service to you is like such a huge shift.
Yeah. When you're talking about the chase, I know what the chase means for me as a Gen Xer and how I got where I am, and the narratives and the media and the whatever things led to me thinking that my body was wrong always, my whole life. I do not remember a time when I just felt okay in my own skin.
Yeah.
And I wonder about this rising generation with all of the social media and everything, all this perfection.
Yeah.
Have you worked with young people yet? Like,
Yes.
okay.
Yes. I actually love working with young adults. I've done some work with BSU, with their female athletic department, which has been so incredibly rewarding and cool to see some of these young women and what they're doing and what they want for themselves. I worked with a mom who she just wanted her girls to have this experience.
What a gift.
It was
What a gift. And especially at that age.
Yeah.
Anyway, keep going.
It was really neat. When you think about when you're 14, 15, 16, 17, that age span there's so much happening, right? And when I have a 3.5-year-old who is, we call her Luna Spicy because she's spicy, and she's strong and confident, and she has this belief that she can do anything. And she's still at that age where the world's opinion hasn't told her otherwise, you know?
Yeah.
And I think about when I work with these young ladies, it's how do we give our young women the tools they need to protect and harness that confidence in a way that doesn't make them feel like they have to perform in order to feel accepted, you know? And so much of social media and can be this very performative space. If you act this way, if you want this is like the checkbox, right? And it kind of forces them to feel like they have to like play a role on top of all the many roles that they're already kind of navigating. And so when I work with these young women, it's not about like clothing is a silver bullet kind of thing, because no one thing will ever be that, right? It's more about like, how do we develop our sense of agency about who we are and use that to allow us to navigate our lives in a way that is honoring how we want to show up. And it's interesting when I did like a fun little thrift shopping session with these young girls because they love thrifting. There really isn't any like template. You're like in a store with lots of things of all seasons, of all different, sorts of styles. And it forces you to really slow down the process of not just consumption, but you're now asking like, why do I like that? Oh, that's interesting. Oh, I think that's kind of cool. Would I wear that? Let me try it. It's less about here's like an outfit, let's copy paste, and more about the like, again, building that agency of like, what do I actually like for myself? Because social media and all the things that comes with it isn't going anywhere. You know?
Yeah.
So it's not about not going in the water. It's about I have these really robust skills that helps me navigate this space. And I think it starts with like, what do I want for myself? And truly learning how to answer that.
One of the things that I don't know if I had experienced it, but it was all happenstance before you, where I would try something on, I'd be like, this looks really good on me, but I didn't know why. So like I'd buy that one thing, and then maybe I would think it was the color. Yeah. So then I would go buy that same color again. I'm like, this doesn't look good on me. I don't get it. Yeah. And it wasn't until we went through the process of measuring. Yes. And I got to tell you, that was probably the most uncomfortable part of the whole time, because I was like, oh, in my head, where all I'm doing is revealing just how broken I am. You're going to see how fat I am. You're going to see how this, and all this stuff. The way that you did it, the way that you went about it was so surgical almost. And it was just like, okay, this is literally a measurement. Yeah. This is from your armpit to your waist, or what? And maybe it wasn't that, but you know what I'm saying? Right. You were measuring, you went down my shoulder, from my shoulder to my wrist. And it seemed much more like clinical. Yeah. And just fact, it's just the facts, ma'am, just the facts, you know, getting this. And then you began to help me understand my proportions. Yeah. And how, when I put on, my favorite thing to do in the whole world is cover up everything on my top torso, almost to, my mid thigh. When I do that, I lose the best part because I'm covering up the best part. I'm like, where's Callie? Exactly. You actually said that. You're like, where's Callie in this? We got it. And all of a sudden there were these moments of, oh my gosh. Yeah. You had me try on this short. It was a cropped top as far as I could tell. It wasn't really cropped. It just went to my waist, but it looked cropped to me. Yeah. And I was like, this is not gonna work. Like, I can't. And as soon as I put it on, I was like, oh yeah. Like, this is the first t-shirt I've ever put on that I actually like. And it's because it was short. Yes. And it was a complete game changer for me. So because everybody's shapes and sizes are different. So have you just figured out kind of in your own, like, is that something you've learned over time, or is it something you inherently just know when you look at somebody and you get their measurements, oh, they're going to do better with a shorter top. This is going to make them look better. Or they're going to,
I think it's a mix of both. I think it's like intuitively, like I look at you and I'm like, I already see the goodness, and then it's just then translating that to information that you then can concretely go, oh, now I see what you're saying, right? Because I see it the moment I meet you. Yeah. And then it's just like showing you through, whether it's the numbers of like what I'm collecting about your body. And then I understand so much about proportions and sizing, and but it always comes back to like the individual, So I think it's then taking that information that seems fuzzy, like, this is cute, but why?
Yeah, I don't know why. Must be the brand.
Yeah. And then breaking it down in a way that is really clear. Like, well, it's because of for that shirt, that, the t-shirt, for example, because it was cropped and that it was a little bit heavier cotton. It wasn't this like clingy where you felt like you had to tug on it kind of fabric. So the fabric content was an important part of selecting that style for you. And I wanted something that you felt really polished in. So it was like a really nice white t-shirt. And it seems so simple. You're just like, okay, there's lots of white t-shirts. Yes, there are. Trust me, I know a lot of them. But there are some really important components of like really great staple styles that allow the process of getting dressed to be so much easier, because they're not making you reinvent the wheel of looking good. They are just allowing you to put it on and go. And then, and so much of like our process with me taking your measurements and then showing you why something works is also the dialogue of you connecting back to your body. And I think that's probably one of the hardest parts of the experience, is because clothing can seem like this auxiliary thing that I'm just going to like actually want to move away from my body, like, so for you, it was like you were draping things over you, you were covering, and you were hiding your frame.
Yes.
And kind of like what you said earlier, it wasn't like boom overnight, it was a process.
Yeah.
And so that process requires real insight, you know, of like, okay, Kelly, here's why this works. Okay. And then visually seeing, you know, like, okay, we went with this inseam because now you don't have a bunch of fabric just like draping by your ankle on your shoes. Yeah. And this rise hits you really well because now I get to see some of Callie waist. And you were like, I don't have a waist. And I was like, yes, you do.
I did. I fought you on that quite a bit.
You really did, you know. And I think that when we think about fashion and style, it seems so fancy, but real style is ultimately what comes, what allows you to kind of unfold when you are getting dressed in a way that you're like, I get to put these things on and feel good in it without it taking anything away from me.
Yeah.
So you put on those jeans and you're like, these are cute on me. And I know why. I know why they work because this rise, it's hitting the sweet spot. I can sit and move, you know?
Yes.
And I think that was an important part of it too. You were like, I just want to be comfortable.
Yes.
And I think that idea of comfort and style feels like two different lands.
For sure. I really, like, I fought that too.
Yeah.
Because I was like, well, that can't, I mean, I obviously I'm going to have to be uncomfortable because that's what style is
Right.
to be. And you were like, no. We're not doing that.
No.
I remember you the very first set of pants that you had, and they had an elastic waist. I was like, what?
Yeah.
Like the skies parted and the light came shining down on me, and I was like, I can wear pants with elastic.
Yes.
And they're still my favorite pants.
They're
just
so cute on
they're
you.
darling.
Yeah.
I absolutely love them, and I wear them all summer long. That's the other thing that I let go of. You talked about the consumption part. There was a part of me, I think, that thought I need to have a different outfit every single day so that nobody ever sees me in the same outfit because there's something to that. I don't know what was going on and why I thought that was so important. Now I tossed that aside.
Yeah.
And I will very often wear the same pair of jeans twice in the same week but I wear maybe a different sweater with the top. But I let go of all that. I have way fewer clothes now than I had before. Which is so nice because it can actually like, I can hang things up and there's a place for them to hang and they're not like all just like jammed together in my closet.
Yeah.
But I love the things that are in my closet now. Which is it's so huge.
So wonderful.
I was going to ask you, because I know how it went with you and I, but I don't know about anybody else.
Yeah.
I wonder if, so in the beginning, you brought the clothes in, and which, by the way, we should mention that part. So once you did the measurements, we talked about things, we talked about things we liked, then you went ahead and went online and you shopped.
Yes, I sourced
You sourced,
the goodness.
yes,
The
and
Callie goodness.
You did, and then you sent them to me, and so that I could make the final call to say yes, I want to buy this, or no, I don't. By the way, I bought everything. I was like, I'm just gonna, and I'll just return it later, but I'll figure it out. Which was a wise decision because there were some things that I was like, what is this?
Yeah.
And some of those are some of my very favorite things.
Yes.
But anyway, what I was gonna say is at the beginning, you know, you'd say, okay, I'll try this on. And I would go in the other room and I would try it on and I'd come out in it. And towards the end,
Yeah.
rip that stuff right off. I went from being so self-conscious of everything that was wrong with my body to celebrating who I was. And I knew you were not judging me. And even my granny panties, you never said one thing about the fact that I have non-stylish underpants.
Yeah. Nope.
You're like the kindest person, but the whole process in the times that we spent together in building up got to the point where I was so comfortable, and it was less even about being in front of you and more about the fact that I was comfortable in my own skin.
Yes.
It was like a transformation inside my own brain.
Yeah.
And it was a side thing. I didn't think, I had no idea that was going to be part of what was going to happen.
Yeah.
So do you see that often?
Yes, I do. And it is, I'm like, oh my God, I love my job so much. It is just absolutely incredible. I mean, there is nothing more powerful in this world than a woman who owns who she is. And that confidence isn't like a loudspeaker. It is this incredible catalyst that like travels through all different parts of her life and what she's building and creating. And to see you like feel good in your skin, I'm like, this is just like ground zero of all of the goodness you have already been building. I'm like, oh my gosh, wait and see what's to come. Because what I know for sure is that there is so much energy and bandwidth that literally feels like it's sucking the life out of us when we have these self-talk that just takes away from who we are. And when we can allow the process, which is not overnight, which is a journey, which is a lot of unpacking the stories of what we thought worthiness was, or the narrative of like who gets to be stylish or who gets to sit at the table. It really allows us to then, I feel, have this clarity that is no longer tethered to like outside expectations. And again, it's kind of that like coming back home to ourselves. Now you're viewing who Callie is in full mode, not based on the stories that you've held about what your body represents, but the whole of you and why that worthiness was always there, you know? And it wasn't like I came in and was like, you know, bibbity boppity boop, you know, or anything like that. But I think it requires so much slowing down the process of choosing, the process of why something works, the process of like, what have I been holding on to that keeps me from moving beyond where I stand. And our clothing holds a lot of those stories, right? Yeah. Because there are experiences from different seasons in our life. And so it's like really cool, like how this this like pathway can then like lead us to where you are now, which is really seeing yourself in a full way, which means, and I see it today as you're like sitting in front of me, because now you're giving full Callie goodness, which is like, thank you. Can I please have some more? You know? And that is so powerful. It's really powerful. And I think that's like the best part of the work that I do. The absolute best part. I don't know if I answered your question.
You did. You did. I just love you even more after having this conversation. It's you're so wonderful. Not long after, I think we might have still been working together, but I showed up at a coffee shop wearing sweatpants and a t-shirt and a ball cap. And I was like, oh, shit, there's Laura Tully. And I look like this. But of course, I didn't. I ran right over to you. Yes. And I think I did make some remark about you. Of course, I'm not wearing any of my clothes today. You were doing something. You were quietly working away. And so we quickly said hi, and I got my coffee and I left. And then not long after that, I noticed that you were making these wonderful posts. And I think it was on Instagram that I saw them. These are not frivolous, lighthearted little like do like it wasn't like a silly. They were nothing you were writing was silly. It was all this like what you've been talking about today. This really deep, thoughtful way of thinking about ourselves. And you take these interesting pictures of yourself a lot of times, and it's become one of my favorite places to go on social media. It's a place that I can go that is safe, that is going to feed my soul, that is not going to make me feel less than. And could you share that, if you feel comfortable doing so, would you share that with the public? So if anybody listening would like to just have something on social they can go to and say I need more of this.
Yeah. Thank you for saying that. That means so much to me. I love to write. And I think that part of why I love the work that I do is because I love to listen to the stories and experiences of people. And I feel like that is such a a connection point that allows us to meet ourselves in different ways. Like one of them is that you learn that I am not alone. And even if the experience is different, it kind of allows us to have this this bird's eye view on like that we're moving through our own experiences in different ways, but somehow we are in it together. And writing on my Instagram kind of evolved over the years because I felt like storytelling is a way of building this connection that allows our truth to be heard in a way that doesn't feel like not authentic, that doesn't feel like I'm just like dropping a bunch of stuff just to do it. And I felt like such a great way of unpacking the journey of developing your personal style cannot be removed from the story of you. And I feel like so much of what I do when I write is about connecting similar experiences. Like I've been there before, or I talk to my dad a lot about many, many different things. And I share some of the things he shares with me on social media, because I think that there's something powerful about experiences that leads you to lessons learned. And lessons learned are a gift to share with others. And, you know, I said to my dad, we were talking about something, and I remember him on many occasions sharing things with me. And in the moment, you're just like, Dad, whatever, you know, right?
Yeah, been there.
It doesn't land. But I don't think that's the point. I don't think it's supposed to be like, aha, here you go, ta-da. I don't think lessons are learned that way. But what I realized, it was like, I was listening.
Right.
You know, in that moment, it wasn't like landing completely. But as the years went on, I realized that I was paying attention to what he was saying. And then practicing like those values and what I want for myself in a way that was really shifting how I showed up. And I feel like it was important to share these experiences with my audience on many different levels, not just like, here's a cute outfit. Through my experiences, that I get to show up as the fullest version of myself when I know that I don't have to edit parts of who I am. And that allows me to then be the best version of who I'm choosing to be, which I feel like we're gifting that to the humans in our lives. And that dominoes in so many really cool ways. And just like the people that reach out to me or, you know, share their stories or say like, thank you for saying that. I mean, it's the best.
It is.
Yeah.
I agree. So how do people find it? If it's on Instagram, what's your...
It's at lauratully.co.
Okay.
.co.
All right. I promise you'll
Yeah.
be glad for it. All right, I'm going to take a quick moment here to thank our sponsors. This episode is brought to you by Zamzows, your local source for garden, pet, and planet-friendly products. Whether you're refreshing your wardrobe or refreshing your backyard, great things grow when they're rooted with intention. Visit Zamzows.com or stop by one of our 12 Treasure Valley locations.
Nobody knows like Zamzows.
Okay, now we're shifting gears.
Uh-oh.
This is the part that we call sharing is caring. It's kind of rapid fire questions.
Okay.
Although they don't have to be rapid fire.
Slow fire.
Yes, exactly. Are you ready?
Yeah.
Okay, so something in fashion that is inspiring you right now.
Oh gosh, you know, honestly, I think the thrifting vintage scene is really inspiring me right now. I think that seeing so many of style being reflected in this way, that's not just about like newness or but also I think back to that whole like agency of what do I want for myself. I think that it's such a important arena, not just in the sustainable side, but in the how do I really develop that agency about what I want. So I'm loving like all these like cool vintage thrifting spots that are like showing up and doing cool things.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice. I'll have to tell Rafi about some of the shops she can stop at, because in New York, the other day she called me from Brooklyn. She's like, I'm in Brooklyn. I'm thrifting in Brooklyn. I was like, that's a thing. She's like, yeah, that's a thing, Mom.
She's living my dream.
No kidding, right? Okay. How about a local business that you're loving or collaborating with?
So one of the things I decided to do this year was like be out in the community more. And so I started this free community gathering called Sip and Style. And so I said, where could I host these Sip and Styles? Of course, our local coffee shops that we gather and sit and talk and work and complain and all the things. And so it's been super meaningful to collaborate with these really awesome places where we get to have a conversation that is like that kind of tandems in all the layers of how we show up, and using style as like the format to go into these deeper conversations. So I've partnered with like Common Grounds, which I just love those ladies. They're amazing.
They are awesome.
I listen to them on your podcast too. And they're just like wonderful. And Necker Coffee has been like a really great one. Broadcast has been a good one as well. And then our local boutiques, you know, just like Peace Unique, Salt, like they're just great local shops that we get to physically just walk into a space and have that like I touch the fabric experience. And they're lovely humans too. So
I feel the same. It's funny, as you were doing that, I was like, oh, yeah, and they're like, when you said broadcast, I'm like, Ollie, she's one of the baristas there, and I know her.
Yes.
like I don't know her, but I feel like she's my pal.
Yes. And that's what it should feel like.
Yeah. That's very cool. Great answer. Okay, how about a book, a quote, or a mindset that's shaping how you think about confidence lately?
You know, I think one of the things that I've experienced over this last year and a half is I've been doing more. So getting out of my head about all the things I want to create and build and make happen, and just start doing. And I think confidence is what you build in the process and the practice of doing and taking action. And it seems like really scary because you're like, but I don't have all the ducks in a row. And I don't have all the I's dotted. And sometimes that's just like looks really good on paper. But until you start the habit of just like doing and practicing, like it won't happen. So I feel like that's part of what fuels confidence is the practice. It's not really a personality. It's like just diving into it and trying and messing up.
Yeah, you are speaking directly to my soul right now. I'm going to say it out loud because I think it might help me propel forward with this. I need to stop saying I'm partway through a book and say that I'm now going to go back to that thing, and I'm going to, because you're right. I got to stop talking about maybe getting back to that thing, and I got to just get back to the thing. I think I'm waiting for maybe some stars to align, but you're exactly right. It's in the doing.
Yeah.
It's in the doing that things get done.
Yeah.
As it turns out. But it's also, that's where the transformation takes place. Not in the dreaming of doing. It's in the doing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because that's when you start to build, like, I think of it as like the scaffolding for your confidence.
Right.
Like I took these actions, and sometimes the scaffolding feels shaky and you're like, this is not as anchored as I want it to be. But I don't think anything really meaningful ever develops that securely in the beginning. I think it's meant to feel unsteady. But the more you do it, and the more you learn that to practice what it means to show up for yourself and try, and that failure is a part of the process, that scaffolding becomes just way more firmer, and all of a sudden it's kind of stacked up on each other. It's not that the fear is ever going to go away. It's just that it doesn't hijack what you think your capacity is as much anymore. And I feel like that's such a huge shift.
I don't want this podcast to
I
end.
know. I'm going to stay here.
I have one last question for you. It's the question that we ask everybody, and you can answer it however you like. And there are no rules.
Okay.
So the question is, what is something that nobody knows?
What is something that nobody knows about me?
It can be about anything. And also, by the
that
way,
nobody knows?
somebody can know.
Okay.
I think 100% of people have said something that somebody's known, but yeah.
I think I'm gonna connect it to style. This is like, okay, this sounds really cheesy, but that stylist for everyone. And that there's no like, oh, I have to be this certain way in order to be stylish. I think style, personal style, is an expression of who you are choosing to be. And I think that is like such a gift, you know, that we get to like have these very eclectic versions of what that can be. And I feel like that's a gift to the world. So, yeah.
It is.
Yeah.
It is a gift to the world. And this is not an understatement. You are a gift to the world. And you have certainly been an enormous gift to me. And you've changed my life. I know I started off by saying that, but even this conversation we've had, I've learned some things that have changed my life. So thank you. Thank you for your time. Thank you for everything you're doing in the community. And yeah, thanks for being on the podcast.
Oh, thanks, Callie. I'm going to hug you so hard.
Can't wait. It's my favorite. All right. Well, if you enjoyed today's conversation, please follow the podcast. And I would love it if you would leave a review. Next week, we'll hear from another incredible voice shaping the Treasure Valley. Until then, thanks for listening.